Hi, everyone. Whether you're starting your day or you're coming to the end of your day today, welcome to our webinar and thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about REST API and creating a connected safety ecosystem. To do that, I again have the pleasure of welcoming Damien Turnbull, our Chief Technology Officer, to join me. So, hi, Damien.
Hi, Liz. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for being with us today. Before we begin, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet today and pay our respect to elders past and present. A little bit more about our presenters. You all know me. You've met me 100 times before, but for those who haven't met Damien before, Damien's worked in software companies both in Australia and abroad, and he's very well versed with building software solutions or building solutions for SaaS companies. So I'm grateful to have him with me today to take us through this really important topic. Please note that we will, of course, record this session and it will be sent to you in an email. So please share it around. If your IT people couldn't be in attendance today, please don't hesitate to share. We'd also love to respond to all of your questions. So anything you have, please pop them in the Q&A. And if we don't get them to them during the session, we'll include a Q&A one-pager in our handout and our mail out and on the Logiqc Academy as well. As you are aware, the focus of our second series of Your Success is Our Success is all about the new features that we've released over the last year and the improvements and enhancements that it will bring to your Logiqc platform. Okay, so we are going to get started. And oh my goodness. Sorry, I needed to stop sharing. Okay, so first question to Damien. Damien, if we can talk about the bigger picture from a technologist's point of view, why is system integration so critical for the future of modern healthcare and human service delivery?
Yeah, good question to start, Liz. I think, from a tech perspective, integration is really everything these days. For a long time, even in healthcare, you've seen organizations purchase software for specific jobs. So one for patient records, one for billing, another for feedback, et cetera, et cetera. So the result is you get a collection of great but siloed systems. And so this creates a lot of inefficiency and risk, really. So the future isn't about finding one magic system that does everything. It's about building a digital ecosystem where these specialized systems can communicate seamlessly. And I think this concept is really the foundation for providing safer and more efficient and truly, patient-centric care.
Right. So for our audience that may not be developers, could you explain in simple terms what a REST API is? What makes it so powerful and such a standardized tool for building these connected systems?
Yeah, great. But the tech industry likes acronyms, and I think this is a good example. We've combined two into one, which is a REST API. So it's like a universal translator for apps and systems. It lets one program talk to another, and if they're built by completely different people, even in different programming languages or running on different machines, they can still speak the same language and still move information between the two. So an API, it stands for an application programming interface, which is really just a fancy way of saying a set of rules on how to talk to me. And REST is short for a representational state transfer, which is a whole bunch of jargon, which is just a popular way of saying these are the rules for how the conversation should occur. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense.
Great. So looking beyond just Logiqc, where are some of the most exciting possibilities that a well-implemented API strategy can unlock for a health service, for instance?
Yeah, well, look, I think this is where it gets really exciting, and in the future, I can see lots of possibilities. But when systems can talk in real time, you can move from just collecting data to creating more intelligent actions. So imagine you've got an IoT or an Internet of Things device. I'll use an aged care facility as an example where, it could be used to detect a potential fall. So an API call could then simultaneously log an incident sort of in the safety or QMS system, send an alert, to a nurse's mobile device and update the resident's record in the patient management system as well. So it enables that sort of predictive analytics by feeding, diverse data into one place and allows for, a level of care personalization that is impossible when information is sort of trapped in silos. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Didn't think of it that way. And that's a really great overview of the potential. Now, if we can bring that back to our platform, how does the Logiqc REST API specifically act as that central bridge for an organization for safety and quality data?
Yeah, so look, our API is really designed to be that secure front door for all your safety and quality data. So in a technical architecture, we see Logiqc as almost being the central hub for this information. The API allows systems or the spokes, if you can call them that, like your patient management system or website, to connect to this hub in a secure and structured way. So we provide a clear documentation to developers so that they can really easily instruct their systems to send, for example, incidents or feedbacks or risk data directly into the correct place within the Logiqc platform via the API.
Great. Could you walk us through a tangible example? Let's say a patient leaves feedback on a hospital's website. How does the API automate the journey of that data from the website directly into Logiqc?
Okay, so the moment a patient hits submit on that web form, so within their browser, so the organization's web server packages up that data. So you can imagine the comment, the date, maybe a category that they've selected into more of a structured format, and then makes a secure, authenticated call to our Logiqc API. So you can imagine just passing that information along. And our API then receives this call, validate that it came from a trusted source, checks that the data is in the correct format, and then instantly creates a new record in the feedback register inside Logiqc. So that entire process really happens in milliseconds in reality. The information's securely logged and then ready for action within the QMS.
Right. And that goes into that draft form, hey, for all of the organizations that have that API.
That's right, Elizabeth. So we land those records in a draft format, which allows you then to review those and make any amendments as you need to.
Great. You've talked about automating data flow. What does automated closed loop reporting mean from a technical standpoint, and why is that so much more powerful than a simple data transfer?
Yeah, that's a good question. Look, from a technical point of view, like this is a really crucial distinction. So a simple data transfer is just moving data from point A to B, whereas closed loop reporting means the API call doesn't just drop the data off, it also triggers a business process. So when our API creates that record in Logiqc, it automatically advises one or more staff of the feedback being submitted, through the company website or thereabouts. And then it ensures that every single piece of data that comes in becomes an actionable, trackable event. So that's the difference between sort of like a data graveyard, as we might call it, and a living responsive system.
Right. When you successfully break down those data silos that you were talking about earlier, you create a simple source of truth or a single source of truth. What strategic capabilities does this give an organization, especially when it comes to risk management and governance?
Yeah, good. So this is an interesting one because I really believe that a single source of truth is the holy grail. And in saying that, strategically, I think it gives you, data integrity. So to trust the information that you have. I mean, this means your leadership team can really make critical decisions based on dashboards and reports that they can actually trust. And for governance, it provides a complete auditable trail for every piece of safety data, which is invaluable for, accreditation. And then looking forward, it creates the clean, consolidated data set that's essential. If you ever want to apply more advanced technologies like machine learning to identify, risks more proactively.
Right. Thank you, Damien. How does providing a direct API-driven channel for patient feedback, like an anonymous web form, technically empower the consumer's voice and integrate it directly into an organization's core operational data?
Yeah, right. Well, look, I think technically an API just turns unstructured feedback into structured, actionable data. So an email, if you can use that as an example, is just a block of text that a human has to interpret, whereas an API call can deliver the feedback already categorized or tagged and potentially linked to a specific service or location. So this allows the organization to, aggregate or trend and analyze consumer sentiment at scale. So it transforms the patient's voice from being a little whisper in an inbox into a clear, measurable signal that can be tracked and reported on alongside all the other core operational metrics that you have on the go.
That's really powerful. From your perspective, how does the fully integrated data ecosystem shift an organization's culture from being reactive to proactive when it comes to managing safety and quality?
Look, I think it fundamentally changes the speed of information. So a reactive culture is often a symptom of like batch processing, like waiting until the end of the month to manually collate reports and look back at what happened. Whereas like an integrated API-driven ecosystem is based on real-time event streaming. Information flows like as it happens. So this empowers managers to see a trend developing this morning instead of waiting for next month's report. So when you give people real-time data, you give them the ability to act immediately, and that technological shift is what enables the cultural shift to being a more of a proactive mindset.
Great. Thanks, Damien. If we have any IT or technical leaders in the room today, what's the most important first step in planning and integrating an integration project with a tool like the Logiqc API?
Yeah, great question. I think the first real strategic step is to identify a single high-value problem to solve. So don't try and connect everything at once. A perfect starting point is usually the website feedback form. It's pretty simple to implement. It's a common pain point and delivers immediate value. The practical first step is really acknowledging that while our API is robust and well documented, the hands-on implementation will likely require a software developer or an external technology partner to connect your systems. And look, we know finding the right technical expertise can be challenging, and that's why as a company, we're currently developing a referral list of technology partners who are a little bit more familiar with our platform, and you can leverage their skill set going forwards. So if you define, your proof of concept and then establishing a technical team to make it happen, getting that first quick win is the best way to build momentum then for other integration projects going forwards.
Great. Thanks, Damien. If we look ahead, what's the next frontier for this kind of integration technology in the health and community services sector? What gets you excited about the future of these integrations?
Mm-hmm. Look, I'm excited about two main things. I think bi-directional integration, so where information is flowing backwards and forwards between different systems, but also AI. I think right now we're mostly talking about pushing data into a central system. The next frontier is really for that system to push insights and actions back out. So imagine closing an investigation in Logiqc and an API call automatically updates the patient's record over in the patient management system or other systems that you have surrounding. Then if you layer AI on top of that rich sort of integrated data, the system won't just tell you what happened, it will also predict what's likely to happen next. So allowing for genuine sort of prevention. That's the future, a fully connected, predictive and learning health ecosystem.
Right. Damien, thanks so much for breaking it down. It's always something that we talk about, but people like myself don't always understand it. I certainly now see what the benefits of the REST API is and its potential to help organizations collect the data from different platforms and create that central source of truth for the organization to help with reporting. I'm going to go to the Q&A panel and to just check if there's any questions out there. So if anyone has anything, please reach out. And I've got a question. There's one in the chat. Just give me a moment. Are there any other risk management actions we need to take to protect links and information? This question's from Fiona.
Well, that's a good question. I suppose that's more in the security space from the way I understand it. The APIs these days are all, constructed with security as the first and foremost in their design. Our API is behind an authenticated sort of process, so it's not like anyone can actually just shove data into your system. So we make sure that the data is first and foremost, coming from the right place. We make sure that it's validated, and we make sure then it's going through our API once that information has been authenticated as well. So hopefully that answers your question.
We've got another question. How does the critical thinking factor into this process? AI interpretation is not always correct.
Yeah, look, that's a good one. Look, we are a little bit at the mercy of these AI vendors at the moment, but we're seeing some massive, I guess, productivity gains, but also just understanding of data. And that's really what we're talking about today. So we can use AI to take the data that we have within our systems, provide it to these learning language models inside the AI paradigm, and allow AI then to interpret that information in a human understanding way. Now, the truth is that, if you go onto ChatGPT and things like that, it is a little bit more, I suppose, prone to hallucinating and making things up and not always getting it right. It's a bit different with data, because you're actually telling the AI, hey, you need to work within this set of data and you need to interpret based on the data that you give it. You're not getting it from any external sources, it's just from this set. So I do feel confident that I think the AI technology will be able to really, just provide that level of critical thinking based on your data set, not on external factors that it may have within its model.
Right, thanks for that. Any other questions? Anyone else have anything that they'd like to discuss? Okay, just a reminder, this will be the record. Oops. Oh, Irene is asking whether we're able to provide a schematic diagram or a visual of how an external data source is integrated into the Logiqc API. I think that's in the paperwork that we already have. Damien, is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so. We've got a lot of collateral around our API, including documentation. Any software developer as well who wants to actually integrate, that's all documented. So we should be able to provide that facility. It's pretty simple one-way sort of traffic at the moment, particularly with feedback, incidents, repairs. So it's not a complex schematic that we need to provide, but that information should be available.
Okay. Another question. Should we reference when we use AI-generated data, and how can this be regulated?
Wow, that's a big topic, that one. Look, I think for us as a company, we'll be making sure that we're very transparent when we start to adopt some of the AI technology within the platform, so that you as a user are aware that, hey, this information has either been interpreted by AI or the wording has come from AI. I think that's important. I think as humans, we need to understand, what are we dealing with here? Is it AI or is it actually our own doing, words, whatever it happens to be? I won't go into the broader, more ethical question around that outside of Logiqc, but I think as a company ourselves, we'll be very transparent as when AI is actually being used and leveraged to achieve certain outcomes. So then as a user, it's really up to yourself as to, whether you want to continue to use that feature or not that AI is providing.
While we're waiting for someone that might have another question, I will just okay, I may have missed this. Your knowledge-based article states the website feedback form should be used as the start point to log a complaint. Can a third-party software be integrated?
The answer is yes. So if you're not using a website to capture complaints and you're using some other, like even a customer relationship management system and so forth, again, it's just about configuring that platform to then push that data over into our API. So we use website as a pretty basic example, but there's no reason why you can't use other systems. You just have to sort of make sure that that other product has that capability, and then lining up a developer to help you move that information over.
Thanks, Damien. Okay, while I wait for any additional questions that may come up, just a reminder, if that this information is on our website around the APIs or and on the knowledge base, but we'll also send out some additional resources about it in the mail out that will go to everyone. If you do have any questions that relate to the technical aspects, please send them to support@logiqc.com.au. Anything else, you're welcome to contact us at customersuccess@logiqc.com.au. Great, we've got another question. What's the option to integrate SharePoint document links to the document management system in Logic? Can the links and metadata be API'd?
That's a good question. Look, at the moment, Elizabeth, feel free to jump in here as well, but it's more from a functionality point of view within the product rather than API. So at the moment, you can elect to either upload a file, so a Word document,
yep,
or you can actually paste in a link to the likes of a SharePoint document as well, which is just a URL. So we have that capability within the software today. Elizabeth, is there anything else that I didn't cover off in talking about the functionality there?
No, it's just a switch that needs to be flicked, but it is absolutely, it's existing technology in the platform. All righty. If there's no more questions, we'd just like to say thank you so much for spending 20 minutes or so with us and learning more about the REST API. I certainly now have a much better understanding about how that works and what the capabilities are. And again, I'd just really like to thank Damien for joining us today. And thank you all for taking the time to be with us as well. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.
See ya.